It's time to dad.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Time to Dad. I'm here with Joe, Jason, and JT. Quick apology, we've only been releasing an episode a week. We just, typical dad shit. We talk about it all the time. We've just had some scheduling conflicts and work stuff going on, family stuff going on. So apologies. We'll try and get back on schedule. We did find out we're going to add another dad tonight, so hopefully you guys will meet him on one of the upcoming episodes. Um, but anyway, Jason, been a couple episodes, man. What's going on in being the car guy's life?
Well, I guess it's certainly useful for the purposes of educating the dad audience. So I figured I'd just bring it to the show, but it's not the most jovial of topics, but I am I'm getting divorced, gentlemen.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
Mm. So,
okay.
I, as I said, that may or may not be a good enough just jumping off point for the episode, but I have to say, and I've talked about it ad nauseum with everybody who has the same reaction as you fellas, and just kind of says, how, when, why, in shock. I mean, I think a pretty large segment of marriages do not work out. And I've said this 100 times if I've said it once, but marriage, seriously, and this is how I kind of look at it, you are getting up every day. If you're successful at it, you're getting up every day and you're going to work on your marriage, you're going to work on your job, whatever you're doing with your life. You have to work at that every day. And honestly, the real truth of it is, like, and I think most of you would probably say it's true. Like, if you take a week off from your marriage, or like a couple days, like it's probably the end of your marriage. So like, there's only so much you can push something and realize that things are uh, not, because life is short and they're not what you need them to be. I mean, you need to have something in your life that brings you joy. And that's my a mantra too. Like, does it bring you joy? Does it bring you peace? If it doesn't do either of those things, do you really need it? Do you really want it? Is it something that has to be there? I know people who've abandoned their family, their mothers and fathers, even though it was their mother and father, because that, like, they really discovered deep down that those people don't bring them joy or peace to their life. They cause something else that isn't beneficial. And unfortunately, that now it just becomes a matter of, uh, you know, un- you hope it's not collateral damage. You just have to make it all about the kids and that not changing. So for the moment, our makeshift arrangement, as you can see, I'm still at my uh, humble abode here at the house, and the kids are always here. Um, we just simply have a rotation of nights where one or the other person is at the house with them.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that is why it's been a struggle to be on the show, obviously, because I
Yeah.
mean, doing it by yourself, just even if you want to say it's not only just like harder, it just takes longer. It's when I have two of them.
Yeah.
So uh,
So this is something that has kind of been in the process, and then now it's the official aspect of it? Because this is going to be a heavy episode, Dad. So
I would say it's been in the process for about 3 to 4 years. Um, I think that's a heavier topic than maybe we even want to do on this show, but in a lot of ways, we probably would have perhaps gone that route if not for the 3 and 19-month-old that we have, and that's not to say that, and those, the biggest thing for me when you break it down is like I don't feel like I wasted anything or made any decisions poorly, even though I failed at my marriage because of those two boys. Like one of them I think is out of his bed right now. So maybe we'll spin off that for a moment and have you guys chime in. But yeah, it sucks. But I think that there's probably a lot of people. There's a lot of divorced dads. There's a lot of widowed dads. There's a lot of you know, there's a lot of dads that do this by themselves or have to do this co-parenting, and it just it opens up a whole thing, and it's not going to be fun, and it's not going to be enjoyable, but shit happens, boys.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
All right, go grab a
Definitely
kid, man.
does.
We'll hold it down until you get
yeah,
back.
I gotta go down there.
Yeah, go be dad. Go be dad. I mean, I think we all know that, right? I mean, it is I don't know the statistic anymore, but
It's a rough
it is a high. Yeah, it's very high. How much?
74 to 76%
of marriages are divorced now. So 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So
It's a
Jayson,
very simple.
I think Jason's the third person I know like directly that has had a divorce within the past 3 years. I think it's been. It's
Yeah.
rough. And it's all
Yeah.
been, I mean, it's been different reasons. I mean, I've had friends who have left their wives simply because it was a toxic situation. I mean, I've had friends who have been the ones that have gotten left and basically told they fucked up.
Mhm.
I think he's right though. I don't know. It is like it's almost like a job, right? You never want to think
Yeah.
your marriage is a job, but it's not easy. I don't know I'm sure there's somebody out there that is in that marriage where everything just comes natural and everything's, okie dokie and they never have issues. But I mean, that's not my fucking marriage. We have stupid fucking arguments all the time and we ignore each other for a day, sometimes 2 days, depending on how fucking pissed off we got at each other. And we're not good. We'll never go back and revisit. We're not the type to be like, oh, sorry, I flew off the handle and got pissed about this. I mean, usually if one of us gets pissed off, there was good reason, and we just kind of agree that we were both dipshits and move on. But if you don't constantly work at it, and like Jayson was saying, it'll go that
I've been
way.
saying you were a dipshit for the whole time we've been doing the show.
You know what?
What were we talking about?
That's not nice.
And
I
I'm
was
probably
just
going to
talking
catch a little
about.
I just
flack.
came back. I missed it. I'm sorry.
I'm probably going to catch a little flack, but I don't really look at marriage as a job. I look at it as a duty, a responsibility.
You're different, sir.
Duty.
Well,
He said duty.
Honestly, that's the point here. My marriage was duty, and now I'm getting divorced. So you're right.
I mean, with any responsibility,
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
well, with any responsibility or duty, marriage is
laughing,
not.
I feel like it's okay for me to laugh. So
It was a horrible dad. It was a dad joke on a dad show. That's all.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know.
But I don't.
He called the shit poop.
don't put it out with
Greatest
your
night of
boots,
my life.
Ted.
Don't tell me my business,
It's poop
devil
again.
woman.
But
Sorry, Jay, you got it.
I mean, yeah, you're going to have your good days. Any responsibility, anything worth having is very difficult to work through. I've told my wife that, there's only one way out of this marriage, and that's being a body bag. I mean, we're in it for the long haul. And I'm going to tell you, we've had a lot of rough days, and it is work, and most of the work that I have to do is on myself. I do have a temper. And she's always trying to check me on it.
That's a great clip.
But I don't know. It just I don't look at it like a job, because I look at it like it's a responsibility. And I mean, you've got you've got responsibilities to your kids, and you're always going to have to do something that you may or may not like. The same applies with your marriage, So
I get thanked by my
and
wife.
I'm sorry, man. What now?
I said I get thanked by my wife because we are both. She is quite possibly the most stubborn fucking woman I've ever met, and it seems to be that those are the women that men marry, right?
Say the same
But
thing
no,
about my wife.
Ones with pulses. Yes, you're
well,
right.
she'll thank me all the time because she won't do it in the moment. She'll bitch me out and say something that is hurtful or whatever. But a month later, she'll thank me for being the person that I am. To just, I give
A
her a
month.
no bullshit assessment of whatever the fuck she's doing, and if she's
A
acting
month.
like a fucking crazy person, I'll fucking tell
It
her
takes
that.
a month.
It takes a month.
Yeah.
Maybe
If I get
maybe I
any
didn't
praise
wait
at
long
all, I
enough.
feel
I
like
don't
I'm
know.
in
Maybe
the
I should go
winner's
back.
circle. All right, man.
Maybe this was the whole ruse.
She's not that
She was
bad.
just waiting 13 years to praise me,
Uh,
so I could go back now.
but
It's
no,
almost
I
time.
mean, I'm just a no BS kind of person, and I'll fucking call it like I see it, and a lot of that. I mean, when she was starting out with her fucking business, I'd get fucking on her like, you're putting all this time into this fucking business and you're going nowhere
Yep.
because you won't focus, you won't put your head down and grind it out. And at the time,
Right. If she's going to be getting into the business of fucking, and like you said, you got to be, you got to put your head down and grind it out. And then you said, you're going to be fucking on her. And that's right. If she's going to be in the fucking business,
divorce, Jason.
That's how marriages stick out.
Speaking of which, I want to segue for that.
But no, like I mean, I gave her a lot of shit the first 3-4 years we were together about her business. I don't feel fucking bad about it. To this day, she thanks me for driving her to do it. But at the time, she fucking hates my guts and gets annoyed and gets pissed off. And like I said, we're not the couple to sit down and, okay, well, I'm sorry I said that, and we should work on. That's not who we are. We just fucking pull ourselves up and keep marching forward. And we have shit days and we have fucking amazing days, and it balances out to this relationship that we have that's been working. But it's up and down, man, and some couples can't come back from the downs, and some people can't ever get to the ups. It's just the way life is. But I mean, going back to it being a job, I mean, I say it's a job because I feel like I'm working on it sometimes. And I mean, we talked about typical gender roles and the stuff I do in the house. And sometimes I get pissed off that I'm the one always fucking cleaning or doing dishes, and I'm cooking fucking dinner and, getting Emerson to T-ball, and I get him up for school. And sometimes I get overwhelmed and lose my shit, and I'll fucking snap on her and be like, you tell me not to put your fucking coffee mugs in the goddamn washing machine, but you leave them sitting on the goddamn counter for 6 months. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but I mean, we'll have stupid arguments that blow up about shit like that, and we won't talk to each other for the next, 18, 24 hours.
But I think that's common.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
I think that's a lot. I mean, it's usually the big things that are around, but then it's the little thing that throws it over the edge that starts the argument, right? And it's like the little.
If she's looking for a big thing, and you have a little thing, you probably aren't getting too far with the marriage. But you think she would know.
Don't talk about my thing like that.
Jason always takes it to the next level.
I do a little too.
But but that is 90% of marriages fail because of little things, right, Jason? That's it. That's actually no, it's true. Pixie dust.
It's
90%
of marriages. A lot of marriages fail because
cocaine.
People tiptoe around shit rather than duke it out and just fucking.
I think it is. I think it's communication.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to sit down.
It's 100% communication.
Yeah, I don't think you need to sit down and plan out everything you're going to say to each other and call a all hands on deck meeting every time some little thing triggers you. But yeah, you have to be able to understand that not everything your spouse is saying is coming from like a place of hatred. I mean, being a fucking dad, a lot of the shit I say comes from a place of exhaustion or being overwhelmed or just playing too many mind games with myself, worrying about bills and money and whatever the fuck else it is that dads worry about. It's just understanding that's human fucking nature. And I'm not saying women should stay with their men if they're, you know, abusive and shit like that by any means. But if it's somebody snaps every once in a while and says something hurtful to you, it's not the end of the world. And I think it's the really good couples that can navigate those rough waters and get through shit like that kind of outshine the others. And when you don't have that communication piece, like I said, you don't have to sit down and have a long discussion about it. But at least if you at some point down the road can acknowledge that whoever was the fuck out of line, or just agree that you both were out of line, I think that goes a long fucking way. Because a lot of people, I think, just sweep it under the rug and they try to hide it from each other how they feel about something. Or I mean, they definitely try to hide it from friends and family if they're having, you know, a rough patch going on. And I think that just makes it worse. I don't know.
I don't know. I believe that I believe that you know that is like the number one go-to rule is we don't, if she and I are having marital problems, we don't go running telling our family or doing this or doing that. Yeah. Look, the marriage is between she and I, not she and I.
That's a good fucking point. Yeah, there are some women that immediately go to the Facebook groups and
off social media. Yeah, fuck that shit.
The questions I see dads posting in the group, and I'm like, bro, this is
crazy.
Like
I've asked him.
Jason just shared something very personal, but you know, it's not like he was airing out any kind of laundry in the Facebook group, asking for advice on ridiculous shit that should have never left the household, which is a lot of the posts I see. I'm just like, what?
And you're brave. You're brave telling us how your wife's going to start doing like in the business of fucking, and you're supporting her like that. That you're doing that on the podcast.
OnlyFans. I hear OnlyFans makes some money.
But so we weren't getting into why the marriage failed, but thanks for bringing it up. No,
no peer pressure.
No. All right, then I'll just skirt past that. I asked ChatGPT here.
It's up to you. You tell what you want to tell. I'm not going to pry it out of you.
No, that was not a prompt. That OnlyFans had a role in the end of my marriage.
Wait,
I think so.
What? Shut the fuck up.
Do you want to hear a real story?
You tell me. Like I said,
I told you the story. You were a part of the story. You don't check your messages, but
Wait, what?
In the what?
Hold up. You sent me a message about that?
Our three-way message. Our three-way conversation with Alex. Why don't you do some scroll?
Oh, Jesus. Was that when I was on the cruise ship?
Sure.
I think it was.
ChatGPT, 3 reasons, top 10 reasons, if you ask it, why do people get divorced? Why do marriages fail was my exact prompt. Number 1 is lack of communication. Partners stop openly discussing feelings, thoughts, issues, misunderstandings build up, leading to frustration and resentment. Number 2, we have a guess.
Cheating?
I think it's yep. There you go.
I think I'm missing here.
Shooting, like Joe said, shooting. That's number 2 reason. When you start shooting at your significant other, JT knows, and he's a big gun guy. He's like, would you start shooting at him?
You usually signs of we should get out of this.
I'll do a little toot
for the kids' sake. For the kids' sake.
Shoot a little toot.
I love it. Anyone want to guess number 3?
Finance.
Boom. Like, so you guys are saying things like we're scripted, and this is an unscripted podcast. Spoiler. That's pretty good. So that was good. All right. Yeah, financial problems, disagreements about money, debt, spending. For me, maybe that's just the statistic, but I could see that being 2 or 1 in a weird way. Like, I just feel like that any of these things are probably going to have that, if you're actually getting divorced, a financial element, whether it's good, bad, or different.
I just scrolled through your text.
I see that all the time.
What am I missing in that text?
He added another Nick in it. It's just some random Nick getting information about, hey man, getting a divorce. Alex, are you still there?
We did the show for a year, and my wife never listened to the show, so she probably will be tuning in this week. But so my reason for but what? All right, I'll just tell you that the reason for my
future ammo.
That's true. This is recorded, but
it's not live yet, though. But it will be.
Well, she knows. I mean, she knows. That's why it doesn't really matter. But number 4.
Are we guessing or are you saying?
Wait, what was 1 through 3? I was scrolling.
Number 1 reason for divorce is lack of communication.
Yeah.
Number 2 is this is ChatGPT.
Okay.
ChatGPT.
Infidelities too.
Way smarter. Almost, honestly, like borderline smarter than Jayson.
A little bit.
3 was.
3 is
Pixie dust.
Financial problems.
Pixie dust. Okay.
And
4, and you say it's not real. It's the third most real.
No, but 4. There's a less than 0 chance that number 4 was a part of why I am now no longer married.
Only fit.
Infertility.
A loss of intimacy. Okay. So yes,
Close.
You're all right.
Close.
Sorry,
that's not funny. But...
It's none of this is funny, and I've been laughing my ass off.
Wow.
So whatever. This is a therapy session.
No, but I mean, listen. That's probably one of the biggest things the dads talk about on the groups too. I mean, listen, and that's common.
Why do they do that? Why they do that to get some commonality, something other than the oh shit. You know?
Is it me? Is it this? Is it that? They're trying to, hey, what did you do to fix it? Right? That's kind of what dads are looking for.
Did you regret it? Obviously, I think for myself, the biggest worry isn't necessarily that it's luckily for me, it's somewhat amicable, which is good for the kids. But it's like the big question I would ask on one of those pages would be like, did you regret it? Did you make the right decision? Did you make the wrong? Would you have done it differently? I mean, and obviously everyone who gets divorced would have done it differently. But do you, in the end, really think like, we ended it and there's a process. Like they're going to give you a lot of chances when you go to get divorced to not get divorced. They're going to make you do mediation, which, you know what? That's not necessarily true to me. Because they're going to put you through.
I think that varies by state too, though.
They're going to put. Well, yeah. So yes. So all of it is an effort to keep you from breaking a legal binding contract. That's what a marriage is. Yeah. A marriage is a contract and there's what's that?
I said that's what our government defines as, but I think it's a commitment that you make before God, your friends, and family.
So it's those two things. And I love that you brought that up because that had nothing to do with my marriage. But yes, a lot of people see it as a commitment that you make to the church and into your space god and stuff. Which, no offense, like everybody likes
space gods,
pixie dust and space gods. It doesn't matter how religion is more, and I don't even know if we've ever done that on the show. But religion is more of something that a lot like if there's something that drives you to be a good person, whether it's a space god or your own conscience or money from OnlyFans, whatever the fucking reason is that makes you a good person, I don't have a problem with it. Like that, like don't hurt anybody else. If you really like one way or another that gives you some rules and regulations that makes you treat others the way you want to be treated, or any of the other commandments that I didn't learn in school because I didn't do that. but you know what I mean? Like there's certainly a value to all those things. So I never criticized religion. I've studied religion when I was in college, but marriage ends because, and they try to keep you from ending it, which is weird, which then causes other issues because now you got lawyers involved in your ending of a marriage. So it becomes a very governed process, right? So it's like you're getting divorced, but the only thing that matters when you get divorced is the abolishment of a legal contract that you signed in a state or whatever, and you now have responsibilities to the state where you made that binding contract, or you have responsibilities to the space god structure that you made that contract in, to not break that contract. So I think that there's some validity to both sides of that argument. So it's like they're going to give you a chance to save it. They're going to make you say a lot of times that no, this is like, no, it's over. Like, I get what you're doing, but, and I know you don't want me to break my paper contract of forever life and death or whatever, but I know it's binding, but we're going to break it anyway. And the irony to me, and it's funny because my wife has never listened to the show. She never will. This would probably be the only one that she probably would get something out of.
Well, most wives don't, right? I mean, there's a dad podcast. But...
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It goes back to what JT said. So I got a weird feeling that if you really had an open, binding connection with your significant other, that they would have at least once listened to this, because we put time and effort into this and we care about it. And that's fine if they don't. But, to me, that whole thing, that part of it is mute. It's just, they're going to keep you from getting out of the contract, but in a weird way, they're going to involve lawyers that are going to make you want to get out of the contract in a nastier way. I've had that conversation with a lot of dads. I think a lot of dads are very afraid of the divorce process.
Yeah, the child support,
for some big reasons that have nothing to do with whether or not they're in love with their wife and whether or not they want to stay in a relationship. And in the end, I think for me, a big thing is joy and peace, right? So joy and peace, if it's not causing you both or one, it doesn't have to be a constructive part of your life. There are going to be moments when people die and you get fired and shit hits the fan where you're not going to get joy and peace. But things that you choose should bring you joy or peace. Or why did you choose that? Why did you wake up and choose murder? Whatever, so I would say, or pain. But so I think that's the biggest part of it is I did not want to show my kids, myself or my wife, reluctantly not exhibiting what love is supposed to be, what life is supposed to be. If life is a process in which you find joy and peace, and I no longer found those two or one of the two most of the time or whatever, in my marriage, then that was not a service that I was providing my kids. Because what JT says, where it's a duty to me is service. I feel like church is also service. I think you serve something every day. Did you serve yourself by going to work and working hard? Did you serve your space god by being just and making decisions based on what should I be doing, based on the teachings that I believe? Or do you serve your significant other? Do you serve the customer? It's a weird way I serve. I've done sales training classes where that's a big thing. They're like, in certain parts of the country, especially, but either way, if you tell a customer that, I'm here to serve you today. I'm here to serve your needs, and it's an honor. Like I when I quit, and stepped away from selling cars, the whole thing I always like to say was that it was an honor and a privilege to serve the customer at the highest level, because that's true. I mean, in a weird way, if you want to be like good at what you're doing, and in a way that makes people want to, use your services. So again, service. It's all about service.
Well, I think marriage and parenthood is service. I think it is
100%.
service. And with service, you're not always going to have good days. I mean, you keep using joy, and I want to ask: are you conflating that with happiness? Because happiness is a very fleeting feeling. You are not. You are not. You are not.
It's so fleeting that I haven't had it in 13 years. No, go ahead.
I'm not trying. I mean that the biggest reason I hear most women, want a divorce, is they're not happy. They're not in love anymore.
You talk to a lot of women to get divorced, because your wife might want to know about that.
Divorce statistics are they're
JT is gonna have an update next episode.
No,
just fucking.
But no, I'm sorry. In marriage, you're not guaranteed happiness every day. For the rest of your life. I define joy and happiness very differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I shoot for peace. I feel like, I mean, because I agree, like with you, JT, everything's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. And anybody, that's just, let's be real. I don't give a fuck if you say that to you in your relationship, you're a liar. But peace, I think, is what brings our home together, right? Like, I know Jen's always going to have my back and go to bat for me. She knows I will always have her back. I mean, she's been laid off a couple times, and we've had to figure out how to fucking deal with it. And I know a lot of men that would just walk away and be like, what the fuck? And can't cope. Her doing her business where she's gone, every fucking weekend in the fall for weddings. And initially that shit wore me the fuck out. Like, especially when Emerson was younger. I've told her multiple times in fights, I was like, I feel like a fucking single father right now. And I know that hurt her, and that was hard for her to hear, but I needed her to hear it, because that's how I felt. But at the same time, we've moved past it, and she's realized that was a struggling pain of ours, and we've worked through it. And we talked about working on myself. So how did I work on myself through that? Well, we were talking earlier, JT.
Do a little toot.
No, well, right. I do a little toot. And then I started fishing, right? Because it got Emerson outside. It got me to my happy place. It got him enjoying my happy place as well. And I think that's what I say when I say you have to work on it. And it's a constant thing you have to tweak and adjust. But a peace it has to start with peace for me, personally. Maybe not every guy, but you got to know that when shit hits the fan and your wife walks through that door and tells you she murdered somebody, that you're still going to be there, do what you can. When life beats you the fuck up. I don't care who you are. There's nobody just walking through life, just happy as can be, has never had a hurdle to jump over, a mountain to climb. But when you have somebody in your corner that is going to push your ass up that mountain, or pull you up that cliff, when you're at your lowest point, that's where you have to start, and that's the building block. And once you have that peace, once you have that security in your partner, then you can start worrying. A lot of couples say, like, man, I don't know what happened between the point where we got married, where everything was happy-go-lucky and fun. Well, I'll tell you what the fuck happened. You had 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, and life started happening.
45 kids.
You got more work responsibilities.
45 kids is just rough on your uterus too.
But if you don't have that bedrock foundation of where, no matter how bad the argument or fight, or how fucking drunk you got and puked all over your house when you're out with the boys, you got to know that at the
What
end of
if
the
you were
day,
out?
you're still in each
You were
other's.
in with the boy. If you puked in your house, you were in with the boys.
Well, the boys,
Oh,
what are you doing?
The boys just dropped your ass off in an Uber,
And then you puked everywhere.
Yeah.
So you went out with the boys. You went in with the puke. I got it. All right.
But you said it there as kind of the foundation, Nick, was like, you know, what you say. And I think that starts even before the marriage too, is right. Like, I think, you know, in today's world, especially with what's going on in the country, I think a lot of, I see couples that some are left wing, some are right wing. I'm like, how the hell are they going to make it? Right. Because it's difference of raising children. It's difference of school systems. It's difference of this, right? Then there is the religion stuff. But so if that stuff's not addressed before marriage, it might not be a big deal in the honeymoon phase, but when the tough gets going and they're not going to push you up the mountain like you were talking about when all they do is dread everything else that you say.
Joe,
right?
are you leading into number 5 on the list of the reasons why people get divorced? What do we have?
Well,
do we have any guesses?
If I'm going to guess, I'm just maybe it's political now. Is that political reasons or moral?
Unresolved conflicts.
Okay.
Constant arguments without resolution can wear down a relationship over time. Holding grudges or failing to compromise can also contribute.
Yeah.
So what Nick said from the get-go, and you know, you can quibble with the word joy, but I want to go back to what I said about service, because I know when I talk about serving and hustling and you know, body bags, that JT wants to hear what I'm saying. So when you go to service for your marriage, there's also very much a service to your children. Your children are going to absorb everything that happens from a certain age onward. If you want to call it, okay, yeah, hey, at like 18 months and under, like, nah, they didn't really see anything. Bullshit. Like my kid who's 19 months, like he is talking to me. He's talking to me. Like he doesn't have all the vocabulary, but I look him in the eyes and he starts to cry. And my wife doesn't always have this this conversation, I would call it, with him, but it's like he starts to cry and I'm just like, what? Like I look him dead in the eye like an adult. I'm like, why are you crying? You know, and he will stop. Like, and he will give me acknowledgement of that. Like he understands what I said. And I think that I have a very big responsibility to show an example of what love is, because joy is another word for love. So if you want to say that it's really just peace with the peace, and we eat Reese's Pieces with the Lord, as Dane Cook would say, it's not about just peace, and it's not about what does joy mean. Joy and love are like something you have to exhibit or feel like you're exhibiting in front of your kids to define it, to give them a fucking chance against life.
I see that question. Well, I guess it's not a question, but dads will bring up
answer.
They'll bring up the big D on Facebook, and 90% of the posts.
What kind of dad groups are you in?
Well, a few, but no, they'll be asking.
It's a truly uncensored one he's talking
they'll
about.
Talk about problem.
When a dad brings out the big D,
divorce,
you
it's going down.
I'm sorry. Go into the big D and don't mean down.
So, but they'll bring up that
I got the Jeep and she got the Palace. Is that what you're saying?
No, but they'll bring up and they'll post and say, you know, they've been in a rough patch for a while and they're sticking it out for the kids. And 95% of the posts will be, your kids already fucking know. Like, you're not fucking fooling anyone, especially depending on the age. And it seems to be that the consensus is you're not fooling your damn kids. And I think a lot of dads, we talked about it earlier. They're worried about the financial shit, the lawyers getting involved. Am I going to see my kids? And I realize that all varies, especially depending on the reasons. But that's a big one, that dads are scared. And depending on which fucking state you live in, you're either going to feel like you are
your
in
sphincter
prison
says
from
what?
getting
Right.
effed over,
it's like,
or
how does it? have you been working on it
Yeah.
because you went to the big D dad group?
Yeah.
Or are you like really taut and it's gonna hurt
And
real bad?
I mean, that's an understandable feeling if they're honestly,
JT is like, do a little too.
if they're in that stage of their
Don't feel a
relationship,
thing.
you can't help because you've seen the horror stories of dads posting of getting
Yeah.
taken to the cleaners, and after I pay child support and my rent, I've got $5 to my name, and
Yeah.
it's a real fucking thing, and it's like you said, they get the lawyers involved whether you want them to or not, and
Lawyers get themselves involved because lawyers are
Yeah.
what? Can we like number one
Pixie
answer?
dust.
What is a lawyer? Number two. That's two.
A professional
They're gonna
liar.
get paid. That's where they want to do
What
it.
is a lawyer, gentlemen?
A professional liar.
A salesperson. A lawyer
Are you
is
representing
selling
yourself, sir?
their. I would have been a great lawyer. All right. So I don't know what your point is. A salesperson, a lawyer, same thing. So would you rather that this woman is amicable and just wants to get out with a $3,000 bill and sign the contract? Sign the contract, big boy. You remember that, like Mike Tyson? Nobody?
Nope.
So sign the contract. We'll put it in post. So I think in a weird way, lawyers suck. It's not it's a real way.
Yeah, nobody.
So I have talked to so many dads. And the funny thing is that, of course, it's such a cliche that I work in sales or car sales specifically, because I have been told and taught about what to do and what not to do in the case of divorce since I started in marriage, but in sales specifically. I think, and that's a weird like camaraderie that you build, but when your job is as demanding as what I do, and you really can't explain it to most women, unless you've built something as strong as what JT or Nick are talking about. I think I meet a lot of salespeople that have a lot of thoughts on it, and I know specific ones where they're like, "Hey, we said we're going to be amicable. We said we were going to do this. We were going to split it 50-50. It was going to be fine, and we were all about the kids," which is where I'm at.
It gets to the lawyers and it changes.
Which is where I'm at right now. Like my wife and I have a motivation of like, I really don't give a fuck. I know you see this palatial estate and you're like, oh, he's going to lose it all. But I'm in a fucking closet under my stairs. So it's not a big house. I mean, it made some money because, inflation and COVID and stupid shit. But, in the end, are we splitting a fortune? Probably not. But what it comes down to is you've got a motivation that builds from the legal side. So you've got a lawyer who's a salesperson who comes in, and a guy at work said it perfectly. He's like, "Oh, so I'm getting divorced, and it was going to be amicable. She told me it's going to be great until." And this was his best advice, which I took to heart. He says, if you're getting divorced, it's a process. It takes like a year or whatever the fuck. Whatever you do, don't date. Because what happened to him is that
triggered her.
Exactly.
Ammunition.
So what happened, and not in the way you're thinking, because dating is not illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Dipping your dipstick is not illegal. It is not legal.
D.
It's not illegal to put your big D where it doesn't belong, unless you're talking about the Space God house with JT. Don't put it around. Don't dip it. But I don't advise it. But he said don't date when you're getting divorced for that period of time, because it'll trigger them. And what happened to him is he got to the first hearing, and it was basically he said, he's like, everything was going to be amicable. Everything was going to be fine. She saw me with my girlfriend a few weeks before we finally went to court. And the first thing she did with the judge listening is she stood up and said, he's a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I want my kids. She told him that it was going to be amicable and it was going to cost them the least amount of money. Who do you think gave her the idea that if she says that he's a drug addict and an alcoholic, that she would get more child support, alimony? I mean, if he's working, alimony's relative. I guess Nick. I mean, it depends on where you live. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on Time to Dad. But I think
it's a safe space.
Yes. So
Nick and the other Nick can teach you.
Yeah.
I mean, I got taught about pixie dust and it did nothing for me. Quick plug. Joe did a finance episode. Joe, go back and watch the special finance episode where I learned about pixie dust with Joe. No, it was actually really good. And I have I have truly like plugged our show 5s of times. And when I did most of it, it was because I was talking about the finance. Like I got a lot out of Joe's like when we do the specials.
I tag Joe all the time when people post. He's probably like, God damn it, another tag.
Joe's the only one. Joe's got the most money in the group, so I like to kind of fluff him up. But anyways, hashtag Joe's not. Hashtag Joe PixieDustFinance.com, not a sponsor. So let's break it down. I mean, the episode's almost over. I think the name of the game, and you can say it's just peace, in which case you're a Buddhist, not a Christian. Okay, JT. But if it's just peace, joy is important. Joy and love are what I'm trying to define for my children. And if I can't show them that, then I'm not doing them a service. And if I'm not serving something, because I obviously wasn't serving my marriage in the way that I needed to, because I wasn't experiencing joy and peace. My significant other, my wife was, she was not serving herself joy and peace because it wasn't the right
I think
fit.
It's such a big thing is coming down to the individual, and that's kind of where I think you're going with it, Jason, right? Like, and you said it before, improving yourself, right, Nick? And right, I know, like, if I'm a better man, I'm gonna
JT's
be a
lighting up
husband.
butts on the show. That's how much like my space god shit, dude. The space god stuff, like JT's like just lighting up on the show. I'm with it.
Why you gotta call? I can't even see it right now. It's in the flag.
You can't do it. Do it now.
It's working.
I didn't say what he was smoking. It's fine.
That's it.
The devil's
but his wife doesn't know he's
that legal? Is that legal on YouTube?
We're gonna find
Next,
out.
like we did a whole
They're
fucking
gonna
show.
Take it down because you keep.
We did a whole fucking
big
show,
D.
and you got us kicked off. You think they give a
One
shit
cigarette
about our fucking show, and this guy smoking a cigarette?
No fucks given by YouTube.
Not at all.
Every time YouTube
I
takes
checked
out
the
my
not
shit,
made for children box, and they're like, "All right, these guys
every
are cool."
time.
Good,
Dude,
good.
I do that, and the only time I take it down is if there's anything more than, fun fact, more than 30, in some cases 60 seconds of copyrighted material, and they will tear you down like a horny girl after prom. Like they will just really her dress.
You're fired. All right, we
Time
have
to
have
dab.
another fucking. What the hell, man? This is the kind of shit you need to prompt us for. I was not expecting that news, sir.
I gave you a lot of details. I almost didn't
He
even
just
come
dropped
on the
the
show.
bomb. He dropped the bomb.
No.
But it's good.
Anyways, man, I appreciate you sharing with us your personal shit. I know that's not easy to do. I wish you the best of luck with all that, and I hope it works out well for both of you, and you guys can keep on.
I hope it works out. I hope it works out well for my kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much
me too.
Steve, but
Me too.
I'm praying for you and your family.
100%. Thank you, sir.
But
like I laughed and did stupid shit on the show. Like some people deal with grief differently.
Yeah.
Dads are going to deal with their own problems differently, whether it's divorce or anything else. The point is that all I want, all that anybody on this show wants, all that, the world wants out of a divorce is that the kids are normal. Like they live lives to the fullest of their potential, despite the fact that whoever bore them or gave birth to them, it wasn't the perfect idea by society. So like that's like more philosophical. So it's like, okay, if you're adopted, no matter what, does that fuck with your head? If your parents were divorced, no matter what, does that fuck with your head? I don't think there's no matter what. I think you can be mentally, you can climb above that ladder, but it puts you at it puts you back a little, because there's plenty of examples where it is the reason.
I think it affects children, but it does not have to affect them negatively, right? They can look at it as, hey, even when two people don't see love for each other, they can still work together for the greater good, right? And that's doing it for the kids. So I think that's a positive thing, that if the parents do it together and work it together, so it's going to affect kids somehow, but it does not have to be a negative effect.
It's kind of like a market. It's like a market correction of the pixie dust. So you,
if you time it right,
let's let Nick end the show. All right, fuck you and your fucking pixie dust. Fuck you and your cigarettes and space gods.
Continuation of this episode, because I feel like there's more.
I love you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going through some
shit. I appreciate you sharing with it. If you need anything, you can reach out to any one of us, dude.
I just thought it was useful. Everything.
No, it totally
I thought
is, dude. Like I said, I appreciate you being vulnerable and putting that stuff out there. I know. I know that's difficult. Whether it's putting you in a better situation for yourself or whether it's not, I know that kind of stuff's difficult to share, man. So I appreciate it. I'm sure any dad that listens to this episode will. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll catch you on the next episode. This could be a 2-part episode, I feel like. So yeah, come hang out with us on the Facebook group. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode. See you.